Hey, everybody, and welcome back. We are the A.C.E Football Academy. This is your Friday footy talk for June 20th, Coach. Over the last couple weeks, we have our last Friday footy talk was about the role of the captain. Then our Monday release was on psychological warfare and getting in your opponent's head. So we wanted to spend some time today to really wrap that up. And funnily enough, I've actually used this conversation with my girls at Open Fields this week as we head into tryouts and we head into that beginning part of the season, where just that ultimate thought of, the captain's role and the mental battle prior to kickoff. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very, the line that you and and that actually I even posed to my middle school girls was, how many of you have stepped on the field and you're 30 minutes before kickoff and you're starting to get the ball moving and you look over and you're like, oh boy, we're in trouble. And all of my girls raised their hand. They're like, oh yeah, we've been there. And I think that moment is so powerful in the mental game. And you'll also, and we're going to talk about this a lot tonight, but Coach, when you look at the stronger teams, when you look at the good teams that are able to pull off this mental tactic, it is no accident.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And you and I have discussed this for a few years now,
Yeah.
where we say, how many times have we watched a warm up and said, I don't know how to fix this?
Yeah. Yep.
Either they're lazy, they're distracted, they're talking about things that are not soccer related, and you kind of look at the girls saying, what are we doing here?
Yep.
And that is the value of having a vocal quality leader that's willing to step up and say, this isn't good enough. Yep. And so that's the gist of what we're going to get into today, of how the role of the captain plays into psychological warfare for your team, for your coach, kind of reeling in the players on the field where you kind of step back and like, my leadership needs to handle this.
Yep, absolutely. And so let's just kind of dive into that, Coach. So here we are. We show up to the match, right? And whether it's the first match or the ninth match or the last match, for me, unless something has happened throughout the season where I've met with my captains and we're like, hey, we got to change our pregame warm up for X, Y, for reason X, Y, or Z, whatever it is, right? But outside of that, our warm up doesn't change, right? And I'm a big proponent of, on game days, you don't need me. Like, now I need my captains to become that coach. And I think bridging that gap between captain and coach, especially on game days, is really, really important, especially when you play for me or someone like me where on game days, I just kind of look at my captains and I'm like, hey, you got it? And they're like, yeah, we got it. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, the other side of this, and this goes for boys and girls, is the emotional side. Mm-hmm. That captain needs to be able to measure the emotional, variety with individual players. And you and I have seen this. Sometimes everyone is in this lackadaisical period.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's just super hyped up. And every now and then you get a team that's super focused on the game that day. But you need that captain to kind of manage the energy and the focus and kind of going around, maybe one-on-one, saying, hey, let's stay focused here, Charlie. Hey, Bobby, hey, we're over here. Focus on us. Focus on our warm-up. Don't pitch into the team. They've got to be able to be aware of their surroundings and what's going on and be able to kind of reel that and manage that focus before your game.
And I'm glad you bring up, I forget exactly how you phrased it, but you brought up that almost like, I don't remember what the exact word you said, but almost like too focused, too engaged, right? So I have my girls show up anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes before kickoff with the understanding that warm-up start at 30 minutes before kickoff, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's very just precise. Everything we do that 30 minutes leading up to kickoff, is precise, and it is timed to the point of where I know when the referee is going to call for captains and we're going to come off the field together, and I know that my captains are going to have X, Y, and Z done in our warm up, right? But there have been moments when I've looked over and, we're still 40 minutes from kickoff, and for whatever reason, a lot of the girls got there, on time or a little early, and they're already starting to stretch. They're already starting to go through those motions where I have to walk over and I have to say, hey, let's relax for a minute. We don't have everybody here. And so you do love that as a coach, but I think to your point of handling that emotional thermostat is really, really important because it can also swing the other way.
That's a great point. You love the unity
Mm-hmm.
amongst the players, but are they unified or are they trying to prove something to the captain? Proving something to the coach. Like, hey, look at me. Look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're understanding what is the true reasoning behind what they're doing. And sometimes, just like you said, if it's an hour prior to game time and there's 5 girls already doing some stuff, nothing wrong with that at all. And that's not the point we're trying to make. It's the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Is there focus about pleasing the coach? Or is there focus on, I need some more touches? Because last night, I was doing some juggles.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that 10th one in there.
And you're right. And so if you and I are off playing, 2-touch passes, or we're just kind of moving the ball a little bit and we're talking and, that is perfectly okay. But it is those moments when you look over and they're already into that pregame routine and you have half your team there. Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned, you're an hour, 45 minutes before kickoff. When, whether it's the captain or the coach, you do kind of have to walk over and go, hey, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's make sure we got our team here. Sally's still over there putting on her cleats. Why are we not waiting for Sally? Just kind of everybody just pump the brakes a little bit. You love that. But, hey, if you two want to go get the ball moving, fine, great, go get the ball moving. And then once everybody gets here, our captains know, and we'll get our pregame routine going.
You also want to make sure there's no clicks involved there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe that's part of that situation where you've got 3 girls here, you've got 6 girls there, or boys or girls.
Right.
I'm just so used to coaching girls, but they need to set the standard.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, everybody in here, let's do a little juggle circle.
Yeah.
Grab a partner or pass around. Yep. We don't need individual groups talking about 5 different things before a game. That is not the right kind of focus we're looking for there. That captain, again, be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the environment. You and I as adults understand that there is a vibe sometimes when the kids show up to a game, or there's a flow to the warm-up where things look great one day and really sloppy the next day. It's that vibe. It's that environment that really the coaches need to pay attention to, and maybe pull the captain aside saying, hey, did something happen over the weekend? Because something's off today.
Yeah.
And relaying that message to the captain saying, all right, I need you to pull them together, have a quick conversation. We need to get the noise out and the soccer focus in, and then we can get the warm-up going here.
Yeah, and that just leads us into that. And again, I think you and I both, over the course of our coaching career, put quite a bit of emphasis on our captains. Whether that is good or bad, I think you can make an argument for both against us or for us and what we do. But they do have to be that standard setter, right? In training, at water breaks, in matches, at halftime, because you and I use you and I because we're hosting, but the coach isn't always going to be there. And I, as a coach, have to have the faith in my captains that I have picked or that I have selected, that when I'm not there, the standard of our program, the standard of what we're building isn't going to drop.
Absolutely.
Coach, real quickly, we won't spend a lot of time on this, but we are focusing in the first part of this about captains, being the captain of Caudill Middle School and being the captain of the U.S. Women's National Team, or even the Madison Central varsity team, right? Those are 3 drastically different roles, drastically different expectations, but I do think there is some connection in them where that captain at the middle school level, if the leadership is being built correctly, they should be considered for a captain at the high school level, right? And they should be considered for a captain if they go to the next level because they hopefully are evolving into those roles as time goes on.
Yeah, and a lot of that deals with maturity levels.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, middle school, high school, college, and then the pros, each step there is a different maturity level. And a lot of that is based on their experience.
Yeah.
Are they coachable? What are they like as a player? Are they doing the work at home when they come home from practice? Are they trying to get that 20 juggles, the 30 juggles, the 40 juggles, and on up? Are they having meaningful conversations with their teammates? I talked about this with my son a lot. What do you boys even talk about?
Yeah.
Because I'll ask you, where'd they go on vacation? Or how was their birthday? Or something specific. He's like, I don't know. I'm thinking, what do you guys do?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're getting at. And a lot of that is development.
Yeah.
And all that forms their leadership, I guess, style, capability, and how they develop their own relationships at the peer level.
Which leads us into that next topic where, again, kind of just wrapping up our role of the captain, and we're going to swing this into the psychological warfare, the last 2 episodes we've done. But, Coach, a lot of times, especially when you look at that middle school age, you look at that, I keep saying middle school age, but that's probably where we're talking, where you do see some leadership in players, but sometimes it comes across as someone who yells too much, right? Someone who is trying to lead, they just don't know how yet. So a lot of their leadership moments come across as negative. And I think that is one of our biggest jobs as coaches, and as parents, is to shape, okay, that child can be a leader. Now we have to help them understand the best ways to lead.
And a lot of that's based off of, number one, their parents.
Mm-hmm.
What do they see every day?
Yep.
And then their coach. If you've got a coach that's mad all the time because he's blowing up about every single mistake that you make.
Right.
Or is he giving you some leniency and then pulling you aside, having proper conversations? Is he showing you how to build relationships? Same thing with your parents when you go home. Are they fighting all the time? Are you just used to combative conversations in your daily life?
Great point.
And sometimes you see that. We get to know our players, whether it be club or high school. And over time, you vaguely get to know some of the parents, but you don't need a lot of details to get an idea of, is it a shy parent? Are they just staying out of it? Or are they just messaging you 1,000 times about, what can my kid do to get better? She's going to be here in the summer. What camps do you want to,
Yeah.
So many different dynamics that they're dealing with. And all of that plays into the type of person and leader they're going to be as they get older. Yeah.
All right, let's spend the last 15 minutes, Coach, really diving into, I love what you're calling the warfare and the warm-up, right? I love this side of things because I think, again, I mentioned this at the top of the episode where I asked 21 girls this the other day, and all of them raised their hand. When you show up for warm-ups and you look over, because of course we're all human, we all do it, right? Everybody looks over, okay, what am I looking like here, right? Especially when you're at a tournament or you don't know the opposing team you're playing, right? And what are some things that opponents notice during warm-ups that immediately make you feel like, oh, your team's in for a long 90 minutes? And so just a couple things. I'm just going to throw out 4 things that Coach came up with, and then we can kind of talk about them how we want. But are you sharp? Are you unified? Are you loud? Are you scared?
I think for me, especially when I was coaching high school, I think you did the same thing. I would get my kids going. I'm looking out the other team, just a couple glances. Body language.
Yeah.
I'm focusing. You can watch a team warm up and the touches look equal. They're doing similar warm up drills. They're doing rondos. They're doing 4v4s, whatever it may be.
Right.
But if I see a team whose body language, where 18 players' body language says, I'm ready to play.
Yep.
And I look at my kids and I've got 6 looking like they're locked in, 6 kind of slumped shoulders,
3 still on the
not
bench.
giving me 100%. Yeah. I got another 5 talking about,
Yep.
What happened at Walmart the other day. I've got a problem here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Again, body language matters, because if those girls look down at them and see 18 laser focused kids knocking the ball around, chattering with each other, soccer specific, for me as a coach, I'm thinking this might not be a good day of soccer for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just along with that, the high fives, as you run by me in our passing warm up, boom, we're high fiving, right? My captains are constantly talking. We're doing little passing lines, and I hear people going, "Yeah, ball here," and I'm seeing the hand motions. I'm seeing, all those things that we're talking about. And for me, we'll swing this a little bit into, the mental edge pregame, but for me, again, on my game days, I bring us in 30 minutes before we're supposed to start, right? Bring everybody in, and it is okay. Here we are. Remember what we've worked on in training this week. We've worked on finding the final combination in the attacking third. Let's make sure we're looking to finish tonight. Whatever it is that we've focused on, right, for the week. You put that in their brains. You make sure we're locked in, and then I go, all right, Captain, you got it. And then I'll walk away and I'll go set up my VO. I'll go introduce myself to the other coach. I'll go check in with my site manager. I'll go and get my lineup card ready. All those things that, that we have to do as coaches, but I'm able to do that because of the role of my captain.
Yeah, self-sufficient teams matter.
Yep.
And that goes into their body language. It goes into their confidence as a team, saying, we know what we're doing before this game gets started. And again, that comes into, are they laser focused during the technical warm-up? So many kids don't understand the value or why coaches ask you to show up an hour before game time or 45 minutes before game time. It's to get you in soccer mode. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're taking hour-long drives, 2-hour-long drives, and you need a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to give you 5-10 minutes to do your chatter.
Yep.
You can talk about the drive, what happened with your boyfriend, what happened with your girlfriend, what happened over the weekend. Can you believe what happened on Twitter?
Yep.
But when I bring you in before we do the warm-up, I'm going to have my talk. And then once I release you, I'm relying 100% on my captains to keep you focused, energized, unified, and ready for that game, because it all matters. It's all a build-up to the kickoff.
Yeah, and something you have written here, the vocal huddles and chants. Chants, can be what it is, but I like the vocal huddles. For most coaches, I shouldn't say all, but for most coaches, there's some sort of stretch, whether it's dynamic or you just circle up. There's some sort of passing pattern, passing wall, touches, something to just kind of wake everybody's speed up, right? Get everybody going. Then there's usually some sort of rondo or possession game or whatever it is, and then there's a shooting drill, right? You kind of spin all those things, a combination that ends in a finish. I really like the idea of, hey, we just finished our stretch. And my captains go, all right, hey, everybody come here. They all get in. Hey, we're getting ready to get into our passing lines. Let's make sure we are locking our ankle. Let's make sure we're striking the middle of the ball. And let's make sure our shoulders are square or whatever it is, right? But the power of that is something that I'm even going to start encouraging my captains to do this season, because I'm looking at this from the opposing sideline, right? If I'm looking over and I'm seeing that laser focus, oh my goodness, this team is doing 1 touches, this team is doing 3 touches, this team is doing all these different things, and then I'll look over and they're all in a huddle again. And I see those 1 or 2 girls who are high energy. They're like, hey, here's what's next. Here we go. Let's go. Right? All right, let's boom. And then they break out and then they're into the next thing. I really like that visual for the opposing team to be looking at my team doing that.
And I love that. And everyone does it.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking down and saying, what are you doing?
Yep, absolutely, right? Because as coaches, we're looking to steal.
Are
too,
you
right?
doing something that's going to make me nervous?
Yeah.
Because we're doing something that you should be nervous about.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully your team understands that. One of the things that I did back in high school, and I love this, about our note here is staring down the opponent.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in our practices, I will talk about a competitive edge. You need to find that competitive edge to give you an advantage over your opponent. And I would always tell them, especially towards the end of the season, when you step on that field as a starter, I want you looking across that field and find one person. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Eye contact. Stare them down. I want you to build confidence in yourself.
Right.
That says, I'm here, I'm ready to go, and I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And are you ready to match my level today?
Yep.
And you could tell as the season went on, the confidence within themselves, their play may not have changed.
Right.
But their confidence in themselves, their belief in what they can do with themselves and as a team showed, because more kids started making that eye contact.
Yeah. And so that kind of leads us into that next thought of the mindset traps to avoid, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to be a taunting thing. You know, I don't want my team going to midfield and dancing on a logo, right? I don't want my teams going to midfield with their arms crossed and just watching the other team warm up, right? I think this is where it has to become about your team, right? It's about what we're getting ready to do to you. We don't care what you're getting ready to do, because what we're getting ready to do is so much better than what anything you have planned, that we're getting ready to take over this game, right? And I think that mindset of, this is why I love tournaments. This is why I love going to tournaments that we play teams that we've never heard of before, because it has to be about us. It has to be about what we're doing, what we've been training, versus it being about me just trying to showboat, me creating that tension, me, you know, or even the apathy, right? Oh, we beat this team 3 times in a row. No big deal, coach. We got it, right? So all those mindset traps are things that, as coaches, as players, as captains, we have to make sure we avoid.
Yeah, so let's kind of review the role of the captain that we discussed so far as psychological warfare and the warm-up. Number one, you've got to set that tone. And having a captain that is confident in themselves, it's such a crucial aspect of their personality. Keeps the standards up. We've talked about this numerous times, especially when you got middle school and high school, boys and girls.
Yep.
They may have had a bad day. They may have had a bad weekend, or something may have happened,
right,
or whatever it may be, and they're not just giving the effort. I need that captain to come over and say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, come talk to me. We need you here today.
Yeah. Can you go, or do I need to let coach know that, hey, Johnny needs
to... Are you in? Are you out? Where are you mentally? Yeah. And having a captain that is, I guess, brave enough to have those tough conversations about, are you sure you're ready to play today? The last one, along the same lines, calming those nerves. Sometimes we get kids who are just a little too riled up, and that turns into being a little rowdy. And that causes a lot of mistakes once the games get kicked off here. So the captain has a lot of responsibility, and the coaches need to teach how to communicate that.
And so I'm going to come back to that thought in just a second, but also the calming and the nerves part, right? As a coach, as a captain, you have to know your teammates. You know, I know that Johnny's a great player, but I also know that Johnny, it's easy to get in Johnny's head. So whether it's pregame, whether it's after the first 10 minutes, whatever it is, I need to make sure that I'm continuing to set that tone with Johnny with, hey, we're fine, man. You're playing great. Let's just keep going. You know, whatever that is, right? So calming the nerves can also work in the other direction, where you have to settle people down and continue to build that confidence within them. So that leads us to our topic of, how do we develop captains who lead mentally as well as physically?
Yeah, and you kind of hit on the spot here. You've got to know your players.
Yeah.
if you're just handing out captain's bands to your best player, is that really the right option? And typically that's kind of that goes. Your starter's probably going to be a captain, depending on their personality. That's who you're going to select. But you've got to know what ticks your captains.
Yeah, absolutely.
What makes them hyped up? What brings them down? Because we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Yours are different from mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're different people, but we love what we're doing. And when we do it, we give it 100%. And you've got to be able to see what's going on with your captain. And I want to ask you something here because you have a great idea that I think more coaches need to learn about. And you've got to have one-on-ones with your captains. And it's not just, hey, we played a great game last week. You did some good stuff. It's got to be more meaningful. Hey, you got really mad. Let's talk about that in that game last week. So you have this thing that you do called your Captain's Council.
Yep.
And it's a brilliant idea. And I think you've learned it from one of my guys that you've listened to for quite a while.
JP Nurbin, friend of the podcast.
Nurbin. Give us an insight about your Captain's Council, what you do, and let's finish the episode with this conversation here.
Yeah.
What you do in your one-on-ones and what you've seen over time and why you keep doing it.
So, first, I do one-on-ones with every player, right? It's not just the captains. But one of the biggest things I ask them in those one-on-ones, so when you play for me, our core values are attitude, commitment, and effort, right? And I ask you lots of little getting to know you questions, things like that. But 3 questions I ask you are, all right, Chris shows up to practice and his ace is just not where it's supposed to be. Whether he had a bad day at school or whatever it is, right? He's not where it's supposed to be. What does Chris do to help bring up his own ace, right? He knows, okay, I'm not just feeling it today. So, you get answers like, I go on a quick jog. I put my headphones in and I listen to music, right? Whatever that is, right? And then I'm like, okay, great. So, and I'm going to write these down. And then, the second question I ask is, okay, now we've been at training for 15 minutes or so, and now your captains have noticed, right? Your captains have noticed that, okay, Chris just isn't himself today. Something's going on. How do you want the captains to respond to you to bring your ace back to where we need it to be, right? And so they give me, and that's the answer that surprises me the most, where some of them are, I need my captain to come over, pull me aside privately and kind of jump me, kind of get in my face. Say, hey, this isn't who you are as a player. I need you to step up or step off, whatever you want to do, right? And then most of them are, I just need them to talk to me privately, just check on me, just kind of build my confidence back up. And, when we're playing, like, oh, hey, Chris, that was a good thought or good touch or just little things like that. Just make sure we're really honing in on those positive reinforcements. And then the third question I ask in these one-on-ones are, all right, now we've played for 20 minutes. We've trained for 20 minutes. And now coach has noticed it, right? Or maybe captain has come over and said, hey, coach, I've been talking to Chris. He's just not there today. We need some help, right? So then I ask you, what do you want me to do? How can I help you bring your ace up? And again, sometimes it's, I just need you to pull me off the field. Don't say anything to me. Just pull me off and I'll get the message, right? Some players are, I need you to pull me off and I need you to come talk to me. And, I just need to talk to you. And then, you get those players who are like, I need you to berate me, for lack of a better word, right? So you don't get that often on the girls' side, but there are some girls who want that, right? There are some girls who want you to say, coach, I want you to look at me and I want you to say, you're not doing your best, right? And then so what I do, and this is, I think, where makes my teams a little different. I take all those answers and I have a copy. I keep talking my copy. I give them to my captains. Like, hey, this is your team. This is what your team expects from you. And sometimes they look at them, I'm sure. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they never come out of the bag that they get stuffed in, which is okay. But at least I'm empowering them to take those opportunities to help lead their team mentally and physically in those moments where their teammates just aren't there.
Yeah.
And so that's my, and that's a big part of our first couple captains councils. Now we do other things. I will give John Gordon a shout out. My captain's read, The Hard Hat by John Gordon. Met with my captains today actually about it, and they were like, "Yeah, wasn't expecting where that book was going to go." So I do highly recommend that book. It does have a death in it, so I wouldn't give it to younger kids, but I give it to my middle school girls, 7th and 8th graders, and they handle it just fine. But it is The Hard Hat, 21 Ways to Be a Great Teammate, and we're really building our culture around that. So, Coach, a great wrap up, but I think we can both agree that a lot of times the role of the captain in that psychological warfare can go hand in hand, especially in those 30 minutes leading up to kickoff. Wanted to just wrap up that conversation. Coach, a lot of fun again tonight as always. Coach Dunham, I'm Coach Hamilton. This has been Friday Footy Talk. We are the Ace Football Academy. Go kick some ace.